Welcome back to another Recon, and today we're looking at stage 5. We're back in Watopia and we're on the Two Bridges loop. There's one segment that we're going to be doing 6 times for A and B, 3 times for C and D riders, a total distance of 43.5 kilometers for A and B, and I guess around about 22 kilometers there for C and D riders. We're going to recognize a lot of this course because we were here earlier this season for the figure 8 reverse. We're taking in that first sprint, which comes just after the S's, and then we're going to take on the first section of the Zwift Com, and I think this is going to be the make or break point of the race. Maybe not on the first lap, but definitely on later laps on this race, and it does leave opportunities for some of those climbers to pick up some potential sprint points on this race if you break it up enough on those early circuits. Alright, so this circuit itself is just over 7 kilometers, but we're doing it 3 or 6 times. I think this is going to be a really attritional race here. There are plenty of points to pick up, however. 6 times around through this sprint circuit, that's 6 opportunities to get into that top 10 for the first across the line. And of course, we also have the fastest through segment, which quite often is done and dusted on that first lap. But if someone really focuses on this and has a go again and again, and the group size is correct, and you get the right power up, then it could be picked up. You could crack that top 10 with the fastest through later on in the circuit as well, and maybe that's what some of the real sprinters in the bunch are going to do if they do get dropped early on. So let's get out onto course, have a look at this first section, the S's as we lead into that first sprint, and then crucially the double header sprint and this first section of the Zwift Com, which I think is going to make or break your race. So let's get out on course. Alright, so we're going to leave the pens, and thankfully we're going to go through the start finish banner. So we are going to pick up a power up nice and early, either to use on this first drag up through the S's, or maybe you can utilize it for this first sprint as well. Now we know Zwift races always start fast. I don't think anything is going to start as fast as it did last week when we were on Caspat, but nonetheless it will be fast, I am sure. And we do head straight into the S's here. S's are this rolling section up and down for the first 2 kilometers, so you have to stay switched on, keep yourself in contention towards the front of that group if you want to contest this first sprint. Now just before we get to the first sprint, the road, it does descend as we head towards the bridge in this first bridge sprint section. So this first sprint, we drop down, we take a left over the bridge. The segment starts right at the start of the bridge there, and you'll see the green marker on the floor. The sprint finishes around about 20 meters, 30 meters maybe, at the end of the bridge, after the bridge. So stay switched on, keep pushing all the way through, sprint through the bunch again if you're going for that fastest through segment, and utilize that power up if you get a good one, maybe the draft or the aero in this instance. Alright, so that's a sprint, the first sprint done and dusted. You're then going to head straight through the villas, through a little cobbled section here. This is quite a crucial point. There could be opportunities here to keep pushing through after that sprint, because very quickly we're going to approach this first section of the Zwift Com. Now don't worry, we're not taking the whole segment here of the Zwift Com. It's just the first part, but if you remember rightly from the figure 8 reverse, it's this first section, this first 900 meters, which is the steepest, and we're going to take that in its entirety. So we hit the bottom of the climb, head up towards those iconic statues. The climb peaks around 11% in gradient just as you go round this right hand bend. Shortly after this right bend, we're going to take a left, and already you're going to start to descend and head back down towards Watopia. But it's this climb, it comes so quickly after that sprint, and it comes 6 times, don't forget, where this race is going to break up. I do not see this staying together. For people like me, for a bit more of a climber than a sprinter, this is where I've got an opportunity to hit those sprinters again and again and again, and maybe pick up some of those sprint points later on in the race. So again, if you are looking to pick up some of those points and you're not an out and out sprinter, I would just make sure you're there or thereabouts at the front of the pack as you go through that sprint, go through the villas, and then crack on with this climb and break it down. Hopefully those sprinters will still be taking deep breaths and trying to recover from their sprint effort. So this is where we can really make them suffer, I would say. Alright, so we've cracked the climb. We're then going to take this left, as I said, and head back down towards Watopia. It is pretty flat and descending all the way down here. So again, if you're in a small group, just keep pushing on, keep the pressure on in those early laps just to make sure that those gaps remain for the remainder of the race. Now the sprint itself, the finishing sprint, let's take a look at that in a bit more detail. Alright, so this finishing sprint, as I've just said, is on a descent, or you've got a descent leading into it. Actually, the kilometre before is fairly flat, but the pace and the speed will be up. Maybe we're just starting lap 2, 3, 4 or 5, and maybe, hopefully, you're in contention for that final lap, whether that be lap 3 if you're C or D, or lap 6 if you're A or B rider. It is going to be fast. You've got to surf those wheels well. It is long. You do get a good sighting on the finish line here as we take this right and then this long draggy left as we head towards the finish line. So keep on that power, keep in the right wheels, stay in that top 10, surf and then peak your power just at the right time to get your hands in the air and take that victory. Alright, so what if that wasn't the final lap and we've just done one of the middle laps of this course? Then of course, once you cross that start-finish banner, you're going to approach the S's again. The S is quite a critical point. This is a decision dependent on the size of your group. Do you push on? Do you hang on? How far are the group behind? There are plenty of decisions to make here, and it is a tough section dependent on the size of your group. So again, you could break it up on later laps through the S's as well. But again, for me, it's about surfing those wheels, saving the beans, ready for that little sprint kicker into the sprint. If I'm not winning the sprint, I want to make sure I'm hanging around in that front group so at least I can then push on or contest through the later climb. But there are no points on the climb, remember that, but there is plenty of opportunities to break it up. Now, in terms of power up, we have the draft. This can be used in a multitude of places, I think, whether it's on those faster sections through the S's, maybe just as a recovery after the climb is also an opportunity. We do have the aero, absolutely ideal for that finishing sprint and that segment that we've got to earn those first across the line or the fastest through points as well. And then just to highlight the fact that we do have this little kicker, this 900-meter climb on this first section of the Zwift comp, we do have the feather as well to just reduce your weight, improve your watts per kilogram and get rid of those riders sitting on your wheel. That would be my plan anyway, but sometimes the plans just go right out the window. Alright, so what about bike choice? Plenty to think about here too. For me, I'm going to be going for an aero setup because I just think focusing on that sprint, focusing on the finishing, there's only a 900-meter climb section. But maybe you're thinking this 900-meter climb, albeit it's only got a couple hundred meters, which is really steep, which is where you need the most support. You might think something a little bit more climber focused, but for me, it's aero all the way. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link, as always, in the description below to the Zwift Insider pages where you can find the most aero setup of frame and wheels for your level. Alright, so as I've said, it is 3 or 6 laps dependent on your category, so you can always go back and watch this video 3 or 6 times, or better still, why not come and join one of the Recon rides? I typically do a Recon ride. Maybe I think the guys at Racing Without Borders will be doing a Recon ride on Friday evening. That's around about 7 o'clock British summertime. You've also got the team at Electric Spirit. They do a Saturday lunchtime, I want to say, or Saturday morning. Either way, I'll leave a link below for their Recon ride as well. Again, they tend to do a reduced distance as well because it's so close to Tuesday, just to help with that recovery. So take a look at those. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching these videos. We did hit that magic 1,000 subscriber last week or even the week before. I really do appreciate the support from the community and the feedback. We don't always get it 100% right, myself and Sherpa Dave, but we try our best. So thank you very much again for being part of this channel and part of this community. As always, immediately when I stop talking, I'm going to flash up the predicted race times, and also I'll give you a link to those Recon notes with the distances for the sprints. So have a great ride, and I'll see you on the roads of Zwift. Ride on.